This is the book of Jeremiah, chapter 51, verse 6 in the NLT. Flee from Babylon. Save yourselves. Don't get trapped in her punishment. It is Yahweh's time for vengeance. He will repay her in full. Babylon had been a gold cup in the Most High's hands, a cup that made the whole earth drunk. The nations drank Babylon's wine, and it drove them all mad. But suddenly Babylon too has fallen. Weep for her, give her medicine, perhaps she can be yet healed. We would have helped her if we could, but nothing can save her now. Let her go, abandon her, return now to your own land, for her punishment reaches to the heavens. It is so great it cannot be measured. Shalom, shalom. Before I begin this lesson, I want to give all praise, honor, and the glory to Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shai, Bahashem, Rakah HaKodash. Double honors to the apostles, bishop, and elders, a great millstone that rule well, and peace and blessings be multiplied on all you brethren that's teaching this word in sincerity and in truth. Shalom to the elect, 144,000, and the rest of the elect out there, shalom. I'm the brother Dama Al-Gibar, here with a lesson, Lord willing, to edify through the spirit and power of Yahweh by Yahweh Shai. All right, and we're definitely in the times. Slaki. All right, Salakia. But, as I was saying, hey, we're living in a time to where, Babylon the Great, which is America, is on its way out. All right. And this place is not going to be healed. This place, America, is full of the sins of his forefathers and, and the blood, the shedding of the blood of the Israelites, which are you Negroes, Latinos, and Native Americans. And now we're at the time to where the great judgment upon Babylon the Great is getting ready to befall this place. And we know that the Lord is imploding Babylon from the inside out. And as it says here that, there's no medicine or there's no healing that can come to Babylon. And you got a lot of these people who, banked on Trump, thinking that he was going to make America great again. They was believing all of his lies, all of his, promises to make this place great again. He was going to bring back manufacturing, bring back jobs. He was going to fix the economy. He was going to stop all these wars. And he's done, none of those things, but further, help this society and this system spiral more and more out of control. The debt has gotten greater, the hope of the people is going down the toilet. This place is getting more violent. People are getting more desperate. People are getting poorer while the rich are getting richer. People are seeing that their future here in America, that is very dim and very dark. And ultimately, people are strung out. People are on drugs, and everywhere you look within this society, you just see utter decay. You just see a fall of an empire. And as we know, July 4th of this year is going to be the 250th anniversary of America, which is around the time that empires crumble and fall. And it ain't no different with Babylon the Great America. Like it says, there is nothing that can be done for America. It's ran its course. And the only thing that's left is for, this place to collapse and prophecy to come to pass. Because I was reading this article here, and it further, exemplifies the utter decay and the falling of Babylon the Great. It says 10 examples that show that the chaos and lawlessness in the streets of America is totally out of control. You see, and this place is out of control. Remember, this is the land of darkness, is darkness itself. And as we get closer, to these last few prophecies being fulfilled, we're going to see this place continue to spiral out of control, on every aspect of society. So let's go here. It says, we aren't supposed to talk about the social decay that is running rampant all around us. Instead, we are supposed to just shut our mouths and pretend that everything is just fine. But that isn't truth. The homelessness is the worst that it has ever been. More Americans are addicted to drugs than ever before. Gang members outnumber the police. Women are being sexually assaulted in staggering numbers. Thieves are having a field day, and street violence is seemingly everywhere. You see? And this is how, this place it cannot be healed. You see, you got to forsake America. You got to forsake Babylon the Great. And see, and this is why we've been prophesying and preaching to our people to, utterly to get yourself right, before the return of Yahweh Bashem Yahweh Shai. You see, to forsake America. This place is through. There is no hope. There is no future here, And we're not saying that to be Debbie Downers, or we're not saying that because we're just being negative, because it's just the truth. And if you're looking at this place with, with sober eyes and with a clear mind, it ain't hard to miss, and this place is horrible, bro. See, and this is why we tell you, brothers, make sure you're throwing up prayers before you leave the house every day, because, anything is possible. Anything can happen. There's all type of spirits and wickedness and violence and criminals and crime and, all type of shit going on out here, on the streets of Babylon, the Great America. And it's only going to get worse as things continue to get worse, It's not going to get any better. It's only going to intensify and get worse as we get closer to the end. It says, of course, if crime never gets reported, they never show up in the official numbers, do they? We know that there have been instances where the crime numbers have been purposely manipulated in order to make local politicians look better. But no matter how much corrupt officials monkey with the numbers, nobody can deny the reality of what is going on in our neighborhoods. And it says the following are 10 examples that show that chaos and lawlessness in the streets of America is totally out of control. And we know ultimately a lot of this shit is being done purposely, because these elites, they want to use the chaos to bring order and to bring in their new world order, to bring in this whole digital slave system upon the people. You see? And hey, these elites are not going to allow all of this lawlessness and violence and chaos to get checked and to get suppressed. They want it to intensify because it goes along with their narratives. But number 1 says, in Seattle, people living near Aurora Avenue have put up large homemade barricades in desperate attempts to keep the rising tide of lawlessness away from their homes. See, I'm not going to read every little aspect. It says, following another burst of gunfire over the weekend, frustrated residents took matters into their own hands by physically blocking off nearby roads in an effort to keep traffic and suspected crime activity out of the area. You see, it tells you that in second answers that people are going to eventually start taking matters into their own hands, because they see that the police aren't doing anything, that the politicians and the governor and the mayors of Seattle is not doing anything about the rampant homelessness. So people have to do what's in their best interest, and they got to take matters into their own hands and do things that, the city or whatever state that they're in, refuse to do. Look at this. If I was living in that area of Seattle, I would probably take even more drastic actions. You see? And it's just telling you all type of shit that's happening there. But number 2 says conditions have gotten so much worse in New York City in recent months. For example, a running gun battle in the Bronx resulted in a 5-year-old girl getting grazed by a stray bullet. Terrifying video captures a reckless gang gun battle on a Bronx street on Wednesday that left a 5-year-old girl grazed by a stray slug to the head. Jump down. The broad daylight shooting between 2 warring gangs unfolded along Southern Boulevard in Longwood around 5:40 Wednesday, sending innocent bystanders scattering for cover, sources said. You see? So it's the wild, wild west out there in New York, and it's like that in a lot of these other states and cities, and Babylon the Great as well, man. You see? That's why the scriptures say, this place cannot be healed. Forsake this place, man. See, this is why you, Jake, need to be worried about the kingdom, man, and doing everything that we need to do to be accepted in the sight of Yahweh Bashem Yahweh Shai and not this world. You see? Because this shit is only going to get worse, especially when this economy collapse. They're talking about bringing in these blackouts. They're talking about bringing more lockdowns. And now they're talking about, the whole supply shortages because of the Strait of Hormuz. You imagine when all these things, are at their height and they hit all at once, and there's food shortages, gasoline, fuel shortages. The store shelves are empty. This place is literally through the spirit that's going to be on these people. If they're doing that now before it's completely, shut down and terrible, how much more you think when shit really hits the fan? Number 3, Portland was once one of the most beautiful cities in the entire world, but now it has become a rotting, decaying, drug-infested hellhole. One homeless woman that is apparently deeply addicted to drugs is regularly dragged away by a group of unknown men and brutally sexually assaulted. You see? Like I said, hey, and this is happening while things are somewhat still a little, normal. All hell hasn't broken loose yet, but these dudes are brutally sexually assaulting this dope-head woman. Imagine how much more when it's complete lawlessness, when there's no more 911, when there's no more police out here, somewhat, keeping the peace, man. You see, we know who's the first to get it the worst is going to be women and children. You see, it's going to be straight Mad Max season out here pretty soon. It's going to be the annual, purge type of behavior. See, and these things are all been prophesied. These things that we've been warning about these things, and we've been telling you that these times are coming. It says, matter of fact, let me get that Ezra's, man. This is 2nd Ezra chapter 15, verse 14. 2nd Ezra 15 and 14. Woe to the world and them that dwell therein, for the sword and their destruction draweth nigh, and one people shall stand up and fight against another, and swords in their hands. Just like you saw, like I just read over there in New York, you had a situation where these gangs was fighting each other with swords in their hands. And what's the modern day sword? The gun. You see? It says, for there shall be sedition among men, and invading one another. They shall not regard their kings nor princes, and the course of their actions shall stand in their power. You see? Like those residents in Seattle, they had to build their own barricades and take matters into their own hands to protect them from the rotting decay of the homeless and the drug addicted maniacs over there in that city. So how much more all around the country when shit really goes out of control, man? This is going to be happening nationwide here in Babylon the Great. And these Americans are strapped up, man. So, hey, it's going to be a time that, it's going to lead into Jacob's trouble. It's going to lead in a time that's never been since there was a nation, especially here in Babylon the Great. Because, America, these people have never known what it's like to have certain like Venezuela or Cuba type of situation. Can you imagine if it's a blackout and there's no electricity, no energy? The amount of looting and sexual assaults and killing and invading one another and robbing and ghoulish behavior that's going to take place here in Babylon when, when this place is completely shut down, there's nothing coming in and nothing going out. It says, a man shall desire to go into a city and shall not be able, for because of their pride, the city shall be troubled, the houses shall be destroyed, and men shall be afraid. A man shall have no pity upon his neighbor, but shall destroy their houses with the sword and spoil their goods because of the lack of bread and for great tribulation. And we can see that these American people are very capable of being in that type of spirit, So, hey, man, it's going to get hella bad out here, man. And these are just things that are happening now. Imagine, you already know. Number 4, over the past few years, chaotic teen takeovers during which vast hordes of young people run completely wild have become a regular occurrence in major cities all over the nation. Have you seen the new social media generated phenomenon, teen takeovers? A teen takeover is when a riot of teens in numbers overwhelming the local police floods a local prearranged meeting through social media to wreak havoc. Youth run wild, defying authority, starting fires, ramming police cars, smashing windows, robbing stores, doing anything and everything that comes to their minds that is against the law and societal order. You see? Because why? This is a heavily demonic society, man. And America has nothing to blame but yourself. You see? Because, all of this, violence that you put in the movies, the violence in the music, you breeded these little gremlins, man. You see? And it's only gonna, it's only gonna get worse, man. You think you've seen something? You ain't seen nothing yet. Number 5, in Detroit, a couple of teen takeovers on Memorial Day weekend started out peacefully, but quickly turned violent. A troubling trend is growing across Detroit and the country. Large teen takeover gatherings that erupt into violence, and Memorial Day weekend brought 2 more incidents to the forefront. You see? At number 6, in Chicago, 5 police officers were hit by a vehicle during a teen takeover on Memorial Day. So these little demons, these little niggas are out of control, man. You see? And like I said, imagine when all hell breaks loose and these little rambunctious, demonic-filled, pill-popping demons are out here just wreaking havoc all over the cities, taking and doing whatever the hell they want, man. You see? Hey, this is why we're going to need the covering of Yahweh Bashem Yahweh Shai. in these times. And that's not even including, when they bring out the foreign troops that's going to be out here trying to bring, trying to, come to the rescue, going door to door, doing all type of evil and wickedness, man. So, hey, this Babylon America is through, bro. Verse 7, we live at a time when advertising what you believe can literally get you killed. Earlier this month, a 69-year-old man in Southern California was literally beaten to death right in front of his home, which was brightly adorned with pro-Trump decorations. See, what is that linked to? Isaiah 19, Egyptian versus the Egyptian, civil war, man. And you're going to have more of this, race wars, food wars, civil war, sedition, people rising up against the government, which is going to lead to a lot of bloodshed, a lot of division, a lot of, violence and wars, It says Carrie Sharon, 69, died Sunday night after the assault Wednesday in Escondido, north of San Diego, the city police department said in a statement. Thomas Caleb Butler, 32, was arrested last week on charges of attempted murder, elder abuse, criminal threats, and battery in connection with Sharon's death. He's being held without bail, jail records show. You see? Edomite on Edomite crime. He killed her because her house was adorned with MAGA shit. See? Number 8, wearing wrong clothing can also get you attacked. In Los Angeles, a Jewish man was recently viciously assaulted as he was walking home from his local synagogue. It says KTLA obtained video surveillance footage of the altercation and learned that the 32-year-old victim was walking home from the Adas Torah synagogue while wearing traditional Jewish clothing when the suspect approached in the van. I just didn't have a good feeling, the victim, who requested anonymity, recalled. I make eye contact with the male driver, try to make a face that says, "Is everything cool?" And then he just jumped out of his car like a lion. And as the suspect walked to his car, he alleged yelled, "Free Palestine." The victim added, man. See? So it says, number 9, be very careful when using online marketplaces. One man that advertised 2 Corvette seats for sale on Facebook Marketplace probably never imagined that the man that he planned to sell them to would end up killing him. A Michigan man convicted of murder in the case of a Facebook Marketplace sale that went wrong was sentenced to life in prison without the possibility of parole. Omar Brogdon, 31, of Detroit, received his sentence from Judge Carrie L. Hannibal at the Genesee County Court in Flint, Michigan. In April, he had been convicted of felony murder, second-degree murder, armed robbery, and 3 counts of using a firearm while committing a felony for a deadly shooting. So these people are off the chain, man. It's crazy out here. Let's get this, man. This is Matthew 24, verse 12. It says, "And because iniquity shall abound, the love of many shall wax cold." You see, when you go into that word cold in the Greek, is psychos, man. See? So this place is through, man. This place needs to be forsaken. This is why, we need to be looking well beyond Babylon and looking towards the kingdom where it's going to dwell righteousness and holiness, and stuff like this will never be heard of again. And last, and number 10, domestic violence has become a raging epidemic in our day and time. An incident that recently occurred in Arizona was particularly shocking. A crazed Arizona mom gunned down her 2 children in a shocking murder-suicide after earlier shooting a woman who'd been with her husband at a bar. It says Andrea Clarice Davis drove to Tailgater Sports Bar and Grill in Glendale just after midnight Monday and blasted at her husband of 12 years, Nolan Davis, and a 36-year-old woman he was with outside. It says the other woman, I'm almost done. Wait. It says the other woman, who has not been identified, was shot in the back of the head as she got in her car to flee. Damn. According to Glendale police spokesman Jose Santiago. She then drove home and texted her husband to say she was going to hurt her 2 young children, sending him a horrific image of one of them bleeding from the head. God damn. See that? So the love of many is waxing cold, man. This woman tried to kill her husband, blasted his side piece, and probably unalived her children, man. So we got a lot of demonic and evil spirits that's on these people out here, man. And it's all been produced here in Babylon, the Great America. See, and this is why this is why we need to get the hell up out of here. This is why we're praying for a few days here, man. And that Yahweh Shai comes back and saves us from this shit, man. When I was growing up, the crazy people were solidly in the minority. But now it seems like the crazy people are in the majority, right? Because the love of many is waxing cold. Hey, the Lord has put a perverse spirit here in Babylon the Great, and we can't forget that. These people are, they're on all type of medication. They're on all type of drugs. They're out here drunk. They're out here just filled with spirits and demons, man. From the elderly even to the young little demons, man. It says perhaps that is because well over 50% of the population is hooked on either legal or illegal drugs these days. You see, our society is coming apart at the seams all around us, but we keep being told that everything is okay. Of course, the truth is that everything is most certainly not okay. Chaos and lawlessness are raging all around us, and conditions just continue to get even worse year after year. And well, I just told you why. All right, because Babylon is forsaken. All right, this place is through. It's ran its course, and it's only going to continuously get worse and worse. And these people are going to continue to get more worse and crazy and bugged out. And especially when they feel like, oh, you got to quote Jerusalem, when these people have nothing else left to lose, they lose it. And we're going to see that in these last days in a major, major way, man. So brothers out there, stay prayed up. Stay anointing yourself and your children and your family and praying for the elect that, hey, we can be delivered from these crazies, from all these said perils, from the time of Jacob's trouble and the shit hitting the fan scenario that's coming here to Babylon the Great, man. So with that, Lord willing, this is edifying. Into the next one. Shalom.